You are standing in a hall of clouded panes and silvered glass. Every surface in this room is angled to catch a reflection, yet none of them reveal a human face. This environment is a curated prison. We spend decades positioning these mirrors to catch the light of societal approval, terrified of what might happen if the reflections stop matching the expectations of others. To survive here, you've adopted a porcelain mask. It is a rigid, unmoving face, a performance of the perfect employee, the perfect partner, or the perfect citizen. Over time, the mask stops being a tool and becomes an airtight seal. It preserves the image while quietly starving the person trapped beneath it of oxygen. Jung called this social mask the persona. It is a functional complex, a psychological interface designed to negotiate with the outside world while hiding our true messy nature. But the human psyche is not a machine, and it refuses to tolerate this level of artificial consistency. Maintaining a flawless public image requires a heavy internal tax paid in private suffering. The cost appears in the biographies of the powerful. Otto von Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor, projected total military authority to the world while suffering from uncontrollable hysterical crying fits in his private quarters. Richard Wagner and Friedrich Nietzsche faced similar internal fractures. Their public identities were towering monuments of cultural achievement, yet their private lives were often consumed by obsessive thoughts and unexplained physical collapses. When the mask becomes inseparable from the face, the psyche begins a process of silent sabotage. This tension manifests as chronic bad moods, sudden phobias, and a persistent, hollow sense that your life is being lived by a stranger. Psychological surgery begins the moment that porcelain mask finally cracks. When the performance fails, you are forced to look into the vacuum left behind. Carl Jung named this space the shadow. It is the reservoir for every primitive impulse, every selfish desire, and every unacceptable trait that your persona worked so hard to bury. We usually see our own shadow only in others. When you feel an irrational, explosive hatred towards someone else's flaws, you are often looking at a direct projection of your own unacknowledged darkness. Alchemists called this Nigredo, the stage of blackening. It's a psychological putrefaction where the ego's false certainties reduce to ash. Every belief held about your own goodness, every comfortable lie about your identity, is systematically burned away in a dark internal fire. This agonizing heat serves a specific purpose. It cauterizes the split between who you are and who you pretend to be, forcing the mind back into a single, unified state. As the fire of the Nigredo dies down, the psychological landscape shifts from violent heat to a state of absolute, chilling silence. This is albedo, the whitening. It is the phase of purification that follows the total collapse of the false self. The psyche begins to reconcile its fractured opposites. The internal war between the masculine and feminine archetypes, the animus and the anima, finally reaches a ceasefire. This integration clears the psychic field. The noise of societal expectation and internal conflict vanishes, leaving behind a vast neutral space. Only in this purified emptiness can you begin to distinguish the voice of your own soul from the echoes of the world around you. The sterile silence of the albedo eventually breaks as the internal temperature rises once more. This is the sunrise of the alchemical work, signaling the return of heat to the psychic system. This is Rubedo, the reddening. After the soul has been washed clean, the lifeblood of genuine passion and focused will rushes back into the vessel. This phase represents the installation of what Z calls the being code. It is the moment where your newly integrated nature is actually embodied in the physical world. The alchemists called this result the philosopher's stone, a state of being so stable and unified that it could theoretically transform anything it touched. You have reached the point of resurrection. The purified mind is now ignited with a divine spark, granting you a level of spiritual agency that the mask-wearing person could never imagine. Return to that mirrored room from the beginning. Look at the floor. Every single pane of silvered glass has been shattered into a million useless fragments. You have entered a state of individuation. The ego and the deeper self now occupy the same space, acting with a single, uncompromised will. Carl Jung dedicated his life to mapping this process. He saw this alchemical journey not as a hobby for the elite, but as the essential purpose of being human. You are standing maskless amidst the broken glass, centered and glowing with the golden light of an integrated being. The price of this transformation is the total destruction of the person you thought you were. The reward is finally waking up to the command